Innovative Cities. Source: Popular Science. By visualgk.com. Welcome to the new metropolis. Today, around 56% of the world's population is urban, and by 2050, that number could jump to around 70%, by some estimates. While metropolises continue to serve as centers for economic growth, they're also facing unprecedented challenges. Affordable housing crises, unemployment, healthcare shortages, food and water scarcity, and social inequity. They're also on the front lines of climate change. With 90% of all urban areas located on coasts, they're vulnerable to rising seas, in addition to heavy rainfall, and extreme heat. But with these obstacles come opportunities, to reimagine our densest spaces. In the past 2 decades alone, more than 150 new cities have sprung up from scratch, in more than 40 countries. And centuries-old settlements have begun to replace their crumbling infrastructures, and establish radical new ways of living. Here are 7 centers of innovation, tackling the most daunting issues of our time, that can serve as blueprints, for communities around the globe. The Aerial City. Medellin, Colombia. Public transit couldn't navigate the steep terrain, narrow streets, and numerous streams of Medellin, Colombia, where low-income housing, crowded on the fringes of the city, at an average of around 160 dwellings per acre. Areas of concentrated poverty, experience higher crime rates, poor health outcomes, and low school attendance, but more robust public transit, can help create more equitable cities. In 2004, Metro de Medellin introduced a creative solution. The first aerial cable car system, fully integrated into public transport, reducing average trip times, from 120 minutes to 65. The CARLESS City. Tempe, Arizona, U.S. The desert city of Phoenix is one of the fastest-growing metropolitan areas in America. Here residents rely heavily on cars. Just outside Arizona's unsustainable capital, a new apartment development, called Cul-de-sac Tempe, has set out to be the first automobile-free community, created from scratch in the U.S. This neighborhood sits on a 17-acre lot, and will feature a restaurant, a coffee shop, an urban market, e-bikes, scooter shares, and 761 apartments. The first residents, who are strictly forbidden to bring in cars, or park in surrounding neighborhoods, are expected to arrive soon. The Floating City. Iberg, Amsterdam, Netherlands. Around 1 million people of Amsterdam live 6.5 feet below sea level. To accommodate the expanding population, in 1996, the construction of Iberg, an archipelago of 10 artificial islands, began. Here pancake method was used, to form a solid, compacted base. Builders create mesh screens, in the size and shape of the future island, and secure them underwater, without harming wildlife. The idea is to moor floating homes to the new land, so they can rise with the sea. The Communal City. Kibera, Nairobi, Kenya. Kibera, on the outskirts of Nairobi, is home to 250,000 people, living on less than 1 square mile. Poor drainage, sanitation, and housing infrastructure, combined with increasing rainfall, make the area vulnerable to severe flooding. In 2006, the Kibera Public Space Project was established, which is a network of community-designed and managed public spaces, where flood protection, and green and grey infrastructure, are layered with core services and amenities. The Garden City. Putrajaya, Malaysia. In the 1990s, the Malaysian government sought to consolidate its offices, and alleviate traffic, in the increasingly congested capital. Putrajaya is the Malaysia's urban solution to both overpopulation and pollution. Here artificial wetlands too were created, in addition to new infrastructure. Along with parks and gardens, they now make up more than 1/3 of the urban area. They host more than 25 species of plants, and provide habitat for fish and water birds. The biodiverse city. Curridabat, San Jose, Costa Rica. Costa Rica covers just 0.03% of Earth's surface, but is home to about 6% of the world's biodiversity. But, San Jose and the surrounding areas aren't immune to the ways modern urbanization impedes those efforts. Just outside the capital, though, Curridabat is doing things differently. Promoting the idea that healthy urban development should accommodate nature, Curridabat launched reforestation projects, converted natural ravines into public parks, and created tree-covered walking and biking paths. These biocorridors provide habitats for animals, plants, insects and birds, all while controlling air pollution. The Sponge City. Zhenjiang, China. On the banks of the Yangtze River in eastern China, Zhenjiang is one of the country's zones at high risk for flooding. In response to this threat, it became one of pilot locations for the Sponge City project, in 2015. The goal is to transform at least 20% of the land into permeable surfaces, so that neighborhoods can absorb heavy rains. Since then, Zhenjiang has created a rain garden, expanded green spaces, and built storage systems to purify and reuse the flood water. Please like, share and subscribe. visualgk.com